The priest said no words, and must have pointed or made some other gesture. Brassus and the other messengers waited, heads down and eyes closed. After a while they heard the sound of boots crunching in the snow, and sensed the carriers were passing them and making ready to play their part. Suddenly the man on Brassus's left stood up. There were men behind them, their tread as loud as their breathing, and they had come for the man on the left. Brassus sighed and raised his head, for the choice had been made, and he was not to be the first. The Romans were being led past him, and he saw them closely for the first time. 2 were soldiers, their unbelted tunics hanging well beneath their knees, and the third was familiar. He saw the jowly face, thick neck, and the white scar on the forehead. His mind was sluggish, each thought taking shape as slowly as wood carved by a blunt knife. The man was a merchant, a secret friend of the king, but his odd foreign name would not come. He did not see the first messenger being led away, for the king had arrived, and Brassus bowed low as was proper. Then he heard someone walking towards him, and a hand touched his bare shoulder, then moved to lift his chin. It was Decibellus, and the great king smiled at him, his teeth white against his thick black beard, the widening streaks of grey hidden by the night. "You do not bow to me," he said, "not on this night." Instead, the king bowed to him, and hushed Brassus when he tried to say that this was wrong. "The messengers are above the lords of men," Decibellus told him, and made Brassus all the more disappointed that he had not been chosen to be first. Then he tried to banish such jealousy. A messenger must be pure, or the journey could not be made. Brassus waited. He could not see what went on, for the ritual was conducted behind him. He had never seen it done, although the last time he had stood with the king's main escort some way down the path. Yet he knew what was to be done, and imagined the 12 carriers standing beneath the great boulder in 4 rows of 3. The messenger was led halfway up the path, and there his hands were tied behind his back. And after that he walked alone, for this was a journey only he could take, and that was a hard walk barefoot, because the ground was littered with sharp rocks. He must not speak or utter any sound. Beneath the great rock the carriers drove the spiked ends of their long spears into the hard ground, and then held them at a slight angle, the great broad heads pointing up. The messenger would reach the boulder some 20 feet above them. Then he would jump. Brassus heard the screams and shuddered. The first had failed, and failure meant that he was not pure enough for the journey, which meant that a second would go instead, and then, if necessary, a third. The drums beat once again, building up slowly this time, so that the last wails of the first carried above them until his throat was cut. On and on the drummers pounded the hollowed trunks, and again the bowmen shot into the sky to ward off clouds and storms. Twice more the eyes of the king asked the questions, and the second time the priest answered. Brassus was not the second, and instead the other man went, and again Brassus waited. This time it seemed to take longer. "It is done." The priest had his arms in the air, and for the first time shouted, "The great Lord of the heavens has taken the messenger into his arms." Brassus felt his eyes moistening, and his clouded mind struggled to know whether this was frustration at not having ascended, or a shameful relief that he had not gone, or worse yet, been tested and failed. Was this uncertainty why he had not been chosen? "Rise, boy," Decibellus had come to him again. "I shall have need of you." Brassus shivered, feeling the cold, and his eyes were so glassy that he could barely see. He heard a dull grunt, then another, but did not see the axeman standing behind the 2 Roman soldiers swing down, or the merchant staring wide-eyed at the corpses beside him. Decibellus walked over to the black-clad priest, and the man raised his arms and called in his hoarse voice, "The Lord of the air has spoken. The pure shall live free." "Then it is war!" the king shouted. Brassus thought that he looked happier in that moment than he had seen his ruler for many months. The waiting was almost over. The pure would ascend.